We've got a new ban list. Digimon might be safe, but Bandai did some weird things. So there's a lot of things I want to go through. These are the cards that have been hit. There is one new ban, one new pair ban, and 9 cards that have been restricted. And yeah, again, there's a lot to talk about. So let's start. First card, Sionko is banned simply because there are a lot of turn skips with Leopard Ace, with the Rice Greymon from BT4 that can just cheat out a lot of Omnimon tamers, which can gain memory at the start of turn, timing with the Sionko tamer. So yeah, a lot of turn skips. This card unfortunately needs to be played in Grace Novamon, so the actual Galaxy, the OG Galaxy from EX5. But yeah, I think it's a price to pay. Turn skips are not the best, not the most attractive thing, and yeah, we need this to be gone. Second one, I kind of was against this thing in the prediction video, but I think Chaosmon and Taomon or Sakuyamon is actually a really good hit, because Taomon and Sakuyamon can use an option when attacking, which means you can reduce the cost of Chaosmon Valdo Arm by 3 with the scramble, and plus if you have a Sakuya X actually, you will gain back 2 memory, given that you have a Sakuyamon under that. But if you are just going from Sakuyamon into Chaosmon via the Taomon when attacking, you will still gain 1 memory back, so the Chaosmon just costs 1 or 0, which is insane. So you go into a Chaosmon for 0 and you buy yourself a turn. That's pretty insane, because a lot of decks can't really function if you take their on place and take their unsuspense. Yeah, this is just really strong and insane that you can go into a level 7 for that cheap. Moving on, the first few restricted cards. So Bandai has been really consistent with memory cards. Cards that just cost no memory at all to play and go plus. So Gravity Crush has been used in a lot of cards regarding Growlmon and Growlmon X, because they can draw a lot of cards and just, well, get into the game pretty easily. Draw, again, hard to draw cards, not only search, but hard to draw. So they will get 2 or 3 Gravity Crushes and make use of that memory really efficiently, but we'll get to Growlmon a little bit later down the road. Yeah, I think Gravity Crush doesn't have an inherent cost, because at the end of turn you lose 2 memory. That's not really, that doesn't matter at all, because there will be no end of turn if you just win the game. So yeah, this card had to be on the ban list at some point, and this point is right now. Parabolic Junk is a little bit weirder, because the only real application I can see is the Abadomon trap. So either you have the Icemon from last turn and you can go into security to go +2, which is pretty cool. But what I think is better is if you play Icemon in the same turn Parabolic Junk, and maybe if the opponent already used a Searcher Rookie, you can go Laplace Demon to force them to attack, which you can always redirect because of the Abadomon DGX without blocking even. So it will always be deleted. Icemon is 1000 DP and you'll always gain 2 memory on your opponent's turn. That's pretty strong. I don't think Abadomon was a contender to make this abusable, but it's pretty strong. And I can see that in the future there might be some other decks that are especially dual color that can make advantage of this. So I think, yeah, it's really consistent to get almost every memory option card on the ban list. Tropical Venom is really hard, because you need to delete an opponent's Digimon after using the option to gain the plus, which might not be possible after you already comboed a lot in your turn. So you always need to keep something alive on your opponent's turn virtually, and then delete it at the exact moment you need to gain the memory. So yeah, just much more restrictive than Gravity Crush and the other cards. Yeah, I don't think Tropical Venom will hit the ban. But moving on. Growlmon X. Where the fuck is Growlmon X? Growlmon X should be on the ban list. I'm serious. Every time you use the on deletion, you just print out 3 memory, because you can play on the rookie without paying the cost. So yeah, that's just a +3 every time you use the on deletion. Not even talking about the on plays that come for free, the inheriteds that come when you Digivolve, delete something. So the BT21 Growlmon, Gilmon just gain memory. Yeah, this is all just insane. But we have 2 hits. Gilmon, Rush from EX, it's a little bit blurry. So the Rush Gilmon delays aggression if you only play it at 1. If you play it at 4, you can pretty consistently, after your second Growl X stack with 20 cards in trash in your opponent's trash, you can pretty consistently get the Rush, right? And a second Growl X stack is just 2 checks and I think 4 memory, because the first stack comes out for 2 memory. You just need to Digivolve a Growlmon and Growl X on top. That's 2 memory. It dies somehow, hopefully in security or with the Demonic Disaster or something. That's the first one. Gets you maybe 10 cards or less into your trash. And the second stack is, again, pretty easy, because you cheat out the level 3 and you can Digivolve for 2 memory on top of that. So yeah, you will get the 20 cards pretty fast, and the Gilmon was a problem. Not to say that Growlmon X is dead now, because you have the Cerberusmon X and Werewolf mode that are, yeah, also pretty good, but they only work on level 5 and not on level 4, which all Growlmon decks did in the past with the Rush Gilmon. So yeah, it's definitely a push into a much more reasonable direction, especially with Gravity Crush being gone. Yeah, but on the other side, Growlmon on the right side, the AX3 Growlmon is borderline useless. It might see more play after the other two hits that we've seen, so Gravity Crush and Gilmon. And now this is a kind of the third hit that also complements the other two hits. But in most decks that have been played up to this point, we've seen, let's say, 10 champions, 12 rookies. And in these 10 champions, we've had 4 Growlmon BT21, 4 Growlmon EX8, or Growlmon X EX8, and 2 of these Growlmons. So you just cut the 10th champion and go down to 9. Not mentioning that actually Gallantmon-based decks can play the starter deck Growlmon. So yeah, there are substitutes, but it's still a pretty good Growlmon, okay? Trashing the top 2 cards of both players' decks is, well, that's a +4 in cards being in trash. So yeah, the Growlmon is kind of nice. The one attacking is also pretty good against the QT tech +1, especially if you think about triggering your own on deletions from a second stack that has survived, or just stupid stuff you can do with the Cerberus X line. And yeah, I think the Growlmon is kind of nice, but where is Growlmon X? We don't know. Someone paid Bandai, I believe. There's a politician going around just bribing someone at Bandai to not ban Growlmon X, but that's enough for my conspiracy theories. One of the Growlmon decks, which is Growlbirds or Gilbirds, has been significantly hit with this Garudamon X, because Garudamon X does a lot of things in just one card. So the first thing is that you get something from trash, any red card, which can be your entire one red Digimon card, which can be your entire deck essentially, or like 80-90%. This is already insane. Like that would be a pretty nice card in a lot of decks. But apart from that, you also gain deletion effects, just a little bit board cleared. That's nice to have, you know. And it's actually an level 5 ultra level deletion effect, because it looks at its own DP 8,000 or less. That's already insane. Plus you get rush, so if you start your turn with just a scramble and a training from last turn, you can get into Garuda X with 2 memory, because scramble can play out a rookie, training can go into level 4 for 0, and if you then use Protoform to go into Garuda X, that costs 2, and then you have rush. Out of nowhere, out of thin air, you just have Garuda X on board with rush, and then you can combo off with Phoenix X and everything else. Plus the on deletion inherited is absolutely busted, so I think Garuda X is kind of a nice hit. I think this card might be more problematic down the line, so it's good that they put it at a 1. Next up, one of the big 3 decks that have been in the past meta was Sakuyamon, and Sakuyamon in and of itself is pretty cool design. I have to say, high speed plugin, the reinforcement plugin, defensive plugin, all of these plugins are really unique and really nice, and they played nicely into the deck, right? And Taomon, Sakuyamon being able to cheat out plugins is nice, until we reach Digivolution plugin S, because Digivolution plugin S essentially prints 3 memory, which can be repeated after one activation after activation, right? So you just chain Taomon to Sakuya X into Taomon when attacking, which allows you to play 4 option cards, because you just digivolved into Taomon, right? This is insane. 4 option cards, and if all of them are either Scramble or Digivolution plugin, you gain 12 memory because you digivolve into Taomon for 3. That's insane, and that shouldn't be legal. Yeah, right? The Digivolution plugin needs to be at 1. Obviously they cannot hit Scramble, but with the pair ban and now this Sakuyamon also being banned, I think there's a lot of consistency and a lot of memory printing that has been reduced, and I think it's a really, really nice hit. Yeah, moving on. Royal Knights. So Royal Knights is 94% the exact same deck. The Royal Knights of the Purge has been reduced from 4 to 1 copies, and nothing else has been hit. Omeka is free. Omni X is at 4. We have Genkumon running around. We have, so I don't think they would have hit Omnimon BT12, BT13, I mean, the one that does the Omni turn. But, well, that one is still running free. And I can see how Purge is a really, really strong card, because you can cheat out stuff like Oryukin to gain +3 memory. You can cheat out Omni X to just gain 16,000 raid, blocker, end of turn attack, which is pretty strong. The end of turn attack, right, with Crimson Mode can just close out games pretty early, or close out, or just gain your memory if you play Oryukin for turn and the Omni X for the Purge effect. So yeah, there's just a lot of things you can do with that. Also, you can set up your Omni turns really, really safely with Purge, which was fine in BT13, but right now your Omni turn is enough if you have Omni X and Oryukin in your Omnimon, in your Yggdrasil, because the Oryukin is going to be played out as well as the Omni X, and at the end of turn you can just attack and gain 3 memory because of the Oryukin. So yeah, that's a nice combo, and not having the necessity to play out the Oryukin to get it on the Yggdrasil is really safe, because 5 overflow is a huge risk, and Purge plays around that risk. Yeah, but really, again, it's really uninteractive if you just take the risk of overflow from the opponent and just print 3 memory in your Omni turn. I think it's really justified. I would have seen Omicomon or Omni X being hit, or I would have seen how it's justified, because that's a really brain dead combo to just put Omicomon onto your Yggdrasil and then wait for your opponent to attack to interrupt him and clear his entire board. But yeah, whatever. Royal Knights is here to stay. What is not here to stay is Growlmon Alta S, in short, just gas. And I think Metal Growlmon EX1 is the perfect problem card, right? Because it's the only part that actually prints memory. The only reason you can keep turn with Garou Alta S is, well, in my prediction video, I said it's either Sagittarius mode, this Metal Growlmon, or Alta S himself. But I don't think Alta S himself should be hit. Obviously, he plays out 2 Mega Level Digimon, but that's kind of Omnimon. So Omnimon can easily go into level 6 Digimon. The real problem is that you can Digivolve for free with the Sagittarius mode, or in this case, Bandai said, hey, the actual memory gain is the problem. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. You can still play Sagittarius mode and go into a toolbox, maybe go into the secret rare Metal Garurumon, go into Ancient Garurumon, which is also pretty funny. You can use that with Sagittarius mode. This thing should not be taken from actual Melga players, but this Melga, this one is a pretty good thing to hit. Yeah, I can still see how Alta S might be problematic later down the line, but right now, I think this is a perfect hit. Garurumon Alta S was not fair at all. It just printed memory. In case you've seen the Singapore Grand Asia Open finale, the one where Jesmon played against Garurumon Alta S, that kind of was a slugfest, because Jesmon didn't do anything for 5 turns, and Garurumon was just able to display what happened. But I still understand how this deck can draw a lot of cards and be very consistent, and it's justified. This is really justified. And this is already everything I wanted to say. In case you have a little bit more of a spicy opinion regarding all of these cards that have been restricted or banned, let me know down below in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!